To start blacksmithing, we need iron, and one way to get iron is by farming wild spawning iron. To do that, we come to the workbench to make a pickaxe. If we press E to open the workbench and we hover over the flint pickaxe, we see that we need 3 planks, 2 fiber, and 2 flint to make a flint pickaxe. We make sure that we have these materials in the inventory of the workbench, and when we do, we left click on the flint pickaxe icon, and that will put it into the production queue. When the flint pickaxe is produced, it will go to the right side of the inventory of the workbench, and we can simply left click on it, and that will put it into our inventory. Quote unquote wild spawning iron looks like this, and to farm it, we press tab to open our inventory. We left click on the flint axe so it goes into our right hand slot. We press 1 to equip it, and we hold down the left mouse button to farm the iron ore fragments. When we smash the iron outcrop, we can see that it drops iron ore fragments, and we can press E to pick them up. If we press tab to open our inventory, we can see that we now have iron ore fragments in our inventory. To turn the iron ore fragments into iron ingots, we come to the furnace. We press E to open the furnace. We make sure that the iron ore fragments go into the production panel of the furnace, so we can right click on the iron ore fragments, and that will transport the entire stack at once. We then need to make sure that there is a fuel in the furnace, so we left click on the branches, and that will provide our furnace with fuel for 1 minute. To turn the 3 iron ore fragments into an iron ingot, we need to fuel the furnace for at least 1 minute. When the iron ingot is produced, it will go into the output part of the production panel of the furnace. To hammer our iron ingots into shape, we need a hammer. So we come to the workbench, and if we hover over the flint hammer, we can see that it will cost us 2 planks, 2 flint, and 1 fiber. We make sure we have the materials in the inventory of the workbench, and we then left click on the flint hammer icon. This will put it into the production queue. When the hammer is ready, it goes into the right side of the inventory of the workbench. We can simply left click on it, and this will put it inside our inventory. To turn our ingots into something useful, we need a couple of things in our workshop. First off, we need a forge to heat our ingots. Then we need the anvil where we can hammer our ingots into shape. And we need a quenching station to fix our shapes into place. We also need to make sure that at least there is some water in the quenching station. So to heat our ingots, we press E to open the forge. We left click on our iron ingot so it goes into the forge, and we put in planks as fuel. You can use other things as fuel as well. Each plank will provide the forge with 3 minutes of fuel. If we look to the left side of the iron ingot, we can see that there is an orange bar that is creeping up. This orange bar indicates the current heat of the ingot. And because we are not boosting our forge right now with our bellows, the maximum heat that we can achieve with the forge without the bellows is 50% of that heat bar. Once the iron ingot is fully heated, we left click on it, and that will take it into our inventory so we can take it to the anvil. When we press E to open the anvil, we can see that there is a setting much as the sawbuck has, and there we can set which type of form we want to hammer. So we can hammer our ingots into a tool head, which is used to make daggers and hammers. We can use it to make sword blades, which obviously is used to make swords. We can make a weapon head, which is used to make spears, and it is used to make axe heads, and axe heads are used for pickaxes and normal axes. With our product selected, we left click on the heated iron ingot so it goes on top of the anvil, and we press the left mouse button to start hammering the iron ingot. If we now press E to open up the anvil again, we can see that the icon of the ingot is in between the tool head and the iron ingot. And if we start hammering again and we listen very well, we can hear that the sound of the hammering changes. And as the sound changes, this indicates that our ingot is cooled down so far that we can't form it anymore. At which point we should take it out of the anvil and bring it back to the forge to reheat. If we wait too long with a reheating, it will cool down to a state where it is back to its ingot form. So if we press E to open the anvil, we can see that it turned back into an iron ingot. Be aware that reheating a partially formed tool head to 100% will also turn it back to its original iron ingot form. After reheating the partially made tool blade at the forge, we take it back to the anvil, place it on the anvil, and keep hammering. Once it is fully formed, we can grab it and put it into the quenching station. Over here, we press E to open the quenching station. We put the tool blade in, and if we click the quench button, it will make a tool blade. And if we judge the temperature and the quenching time correctly, we get a 3+ tool blade. If we judge it wrong, it could be a 2+ or only a 1+. So the quality of your tool blade is dependent on the temperature at which you quench the tool blade. So if we want to make our tool blade into a hammer and we come to the advanced workbench, if we hover over the iron hammer, we can see that we need 2 blanks and 1 tool blade. To make blanks, we come to the normal workbench, press E to open it. And if we hover over the blanks, we can see that we need a 1 plank to make a 1 blank. So we need 2 blanks. We grab the blanks into our inventory, we come to the advanced workbench, press E to open it, put the blanks and the tool blade into the inventory of the advanced workbench. And to make an iron hammer now, we simply left click on the iron hammer. That will put the order in, and it will take 30 seconds for an iron hammer to be made. To get a tier 3 tool blade, we keep hammering until the model on top of the anvil stops changing shape. We left click on the tool blade to put it into our inventory. We walk to the quenching station, press E to open the quenching station, and left click on the tool blade. That will put it into the quenching station, and we then pay close attention to the temperature gauge on the left side of our tool blade. Once it reaches 25%, which is basically the bottom of the iron ingot symbol, we can press the quenching button, and this will result in a tier 3 tool blade. To get a tier 3 weapon tip, we keep hammering until the shape on the anvil stops changing. This might require some reheating. Once the model on top of the anvil stopped changing, we grab the formed weapon tip. We walk to the quenching station, press E to open it up, left click on the weapon tip so it goes into the quenching station, and we pay close attention to the temperature gauge on the left side of the weapon tip. Once it reaches 10%, which is quite a bit under the bottom of the iron ingot icon, we click the quenching button, and this should result in a tier 3 weapon tip. To make a tier 3 sword blade, we keep hammering until the model on top of the anvil stops changing. When the model stops changing, we grab the finished sword blade. We come to the quenching station, press E to open it, left click on the sword blade so it goes into the quenching station, and we then keep a close eye on the temperature gauge on the left side of the sword blade. Once it reaches 40%, which is the bottom of the top iron ingot, we can click the quenching button, and this should result in a tier 3 sword blade. To make a tier 3 axe blade, we keep hammering until the model on top of the anvil stops changing. When it stops changing, we grab the finished axe blade. We come to the quenching station. We put the axe blade in the quenching station, and we pay close attention to the temperature gauge on the left side of our axe head. When the temperature reaches about 55%, which is slightly above the middle of the axe head, we click the quenching button, and this should result in a tier 3 axe blade.